The Hardly Doodly neighborinos, welcome aboard to the Las Vegas Grand Prix WR Legacy Division. Right back at you now with an intense event ahead of us. It is myself and Bobberts here for what will be no doubt a very, very interesting set of events ahead of us. We're getting straight on into it here because we're here for our Las Vegas Fours event. Of course, one-shot qualifying ahead of us here with 4 drivers representing each of the teams here tonight. It's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag, but we're going to be following people on board here as they get going with their lap around here in Las Vegas. Silo immediately showing the pace around here initially out of the blocks towards the front here alongside Tech here tonight. Volakongan and Nilo are also in the team as well. They're in the Hasses here tonight. Then Bobberts, thank you very much for being alongside us as usual for this one here. Adam, we should be in for an absolute cracker of a race event ahead of us here, but with, of course, SCI leading the way with a significant margin now. Expectations are on the Scottish outfit to earn big here tonight.
Certainly are, yeah. Last couple of weeks, they've certainly gone back to how they were, let's say, last season. And, yeah, 2 drivers towards the front end of the field scoring big points. And that is why they've now got over a 100-point lead now over second place. And it's, I mean, it's not cemented. Obviously, anything can still happen, obviously. And there's a big chance tonight for teams, you know, win this Falls event to score big points and try and close in. Obviously, there's a great battle going on for P3 between 4 or 5 teams. And it's so close between them. But like you said, yeah, SCI certainly now put their foot down a little bit and getting on with it. I thought to begin with there, you've been a bit of Ned Flanders. I thought we were going into The Simpsons here. I don't know which character I would be, but certainly you've kind of got your David Croft with your Rosberg or Jensen Button tonight rather than your Martin Brundle of Joseph. But either way, drivers coming through the final few corners. 1 corner to go, which is turn 17, which takes us to the start-finish line. Is Silo just going to hold on for that pole position? Indeed he does, and in the end, actually quite comfortably by 0.3 of a second. Mulder somehow getting disqualified there towards the end somehow, but didn't quite get a chance to see the full list of where everybody finished, but we'll certainly go through it now.
Yeah, there we go. There's Silo and Nilo leading the way then for SCI first and second place respectively. There's Sergio in the Ferrari for ET8 here tonight. Fast to stay true and Matt looking very strong for the British outfits. They've managed to make their way up to 4th place through him. Ventauri then making the way up as well. 5th and 6th place respectively with Volakongan in 7th. Tech there the SCI man in 8th. Ventauri's 9th and 10th. ET8 10th and 11th at the moment. Not too good for the ET8 pairing at the moment, although Radadal though in P11 with Galtin 13th, Matteo 14th, Simbarox 1, Robin 15th and 16th respectively, IRT down in 17th and 18th, and then down at the back, as you said, disqualified from Moldo, starts then at the back of the grid. Quick reminder, though, as I say, Hadley Doodly, because, of course, we're at the Spider Pig circuit. That's the reference I'm making, by the way. Take a quick look at the standings here tonight. There you've got the Shizushi Drigniters on 388, RSC 286, managing to extend the lead just a little bit on AMR on 229, but very tightly compacted between them and Ventauri now in 4th place. ETA 217, clawing back some points as well, and then Future Racing Team on 207, so a very, very tightly packed battle for P3 and P2. Grand Track 10 on 181. They haven't got the pairing of Uncle here tonight, so well, rather Uncle last week rather, so they managed to hold station in 7th place. IRT finally getting into the 100-point mark on 8th. Fastest Stay True 98, managing to now eclipse BRC, who are now at the foot of the table on 97. So, that's the situation report. As said, we're in the Fours event here tonight. Big points haul on the cards here as well. Last time we did this was at Austria. Fastest Stay True with the biggest losers in this one, only managing to get a couple of points out of it. But they're wanting to get straight on with this event by the looks of things here, because now we're going to be in for our first Fours event live at here in Saudi Arabia, Las Vegas. No more waiting. Let's go racing. Silo immediately showing that he wants to get straight on and in with it here, with Nilo actually getting an immediate attack here from Sergio in this mix here. Then down that inside he will go. ET8 trying to flex their muscles just a little bit, and it looks like we've lost Thomas already going through turn number 2, so that's critical stuff for him. And then the Ventauri team, of course, are in that very tightly packed battle towards the front, but it looks like Sergio has got the jump on Nilo here, which means he's not going to be running away with it too quickly here. Or SCI Ventauri's Ray and Max von der Geest getting a little bit of a mix as well. Looks like Ray having some internet connectivity issues is not going to be helping the case of his teammate Max van der Gies. Matt 7 having a bit of a shocking start himself, though. Fastest Stay True down to 6. As we look down towards the top 10, we've still got a very strong battle happening here between IRT and FST for 13th place. Side-by-side action here between Robin and Lucas as they continue through here. It's going to be a potential make-or-breaker, as it looks like Robin giving up the ghost on that occasion. Big lock-up from the IRT man, but he'll hold station.
Yeah, just about hold station for now. I think that what happened at the start with Thomas there, through turns 1 and 2, he and Tech Brutal, I think, came to blows because Tech is missing his entire front wing. So that's one SCI man who, with the front wing missing, will be going to the pits immediately and try and maybe take some hard tyres to the end of the race. We do have a bit of a field split between soft, medium and hard tyre runners here. That's why Matt lost out initially with that less grip on those hard tyres, but at least he's maintained and got up to speed now. VNT going for the soft tyre to begin with their 2 fastest drivers of Ray and Max van der Gies, but it is Silo who still leads the way from Sergio in P2, Nilo in P3. Coming under threat though a little bit there from Waywent on his soft tyres, and that is a car in the background. You see go very, very wide, and that was Ryderdal trying to fend off Nicholas. He just about does it, but that third VNT car looking very, very tasty on that with that Red Bull, but he is in a sandwich.
Yeah, looking very tasty at the moment is Ventauris and Ray here, trying to get side by side with Nilo. SCI's race is definitely topsy-turvy at the moment. 2 drivers towards the front with Silo and Nilo. Now towards the back, Volakongan and Tech are already in the pits. Of course, Tech's having to replace his front wing after that collision with Thomas, which will no doubt get the stewards. And of course, he also has a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane to make matters worse for the Scottish outfit. Good opportunity to make some further inroads here. Could end up losing out some big points here from the likes of AMR, maybe certainly ET8 as well. Of course, in that little scrap with Sergio up at the front, Ryderdal looking strong alongside Matteo, and here's Brando, the bottom place man of the ET8 drivers at the moment, trying to chase down Ventauris. Nicholas could get a nice little inroad here with the overtake that allows him to now join his 2 co-compatriots in front of him in 7th and 8th place. ET8 have got 7th, 8th and 9th covered over, as it looks like Nicholas also losing a position to Simbarox 1 once again in this event, but so far so good for Sergio, the leader of the ET8 drivers, still in P2.
Indeed he is, yeah. I've just looked in the chat. There's a possibility, according to Luke, for a restart. Not too sure why that would be, and whether there's desync maybe or something. I'm not too sure. Not really got any confirmation of that. But Nicholas is certainly struggling on these medium tyres. Whether if he's got damage that's not showing on his front wing, maybe it's a tiny little bit that is really affecting that Williams. He's now going to get overtaken by Galti, trying to go around the outside of 2 and 3, but just about fends him off in the end. But yeah, definitely that Williams is struggling, as we have a Tech who has Nicholas has retired, Tech has now retired, drivers are retiring, so there's the answer, there's the confirmed restart.
Yeah, that's the confirmed restart, which is a shame actually, because it looks like to me things were going in the right direction on this one, but actually that is the saving grace for the Scottish outfit SCI, because 2 drivers only up in the top 2 and you've got 4 on the field is bitterly scary to say the least. But we will have that restart, which will give us a chance to take a bit of a breather and talk about actually the drivers for the, well, actually I'd like to go to the standings actually, because situation report here for the standings is pretty clear cut, isn't it? Here you got the Shizou Cedar Igniters on 388. They've already stretched out their lead now to over 100 points, 102 to be exact, against RSC. RSC have got a little bit of a nest egg against AMR, but with the Fours event here tonight, that could be cut pretty quickly if they have a poor race here tonight. Then you've got AMR on 229, Ventari 222, ET8 217, Future Racing Team 207. Very tightly compacted event here for definitely from 3rd down to 6th, including RSC, of course. I think the 2nd place battle very spicy indeed.
Yeah, certainly is very, very spicy. I mean, it's anyone's game, really. Yeah, RSC kind of have that little bit of a buffer, you could say, especially with how well they did last week, extended that gap over AMR, VNT, and ET8 respectively. But they're not out of it. And but again, how many times have I said this? And we said this last season. ET8 getting one driver finishing P2, the second driver finishing 18th, well out of the point, and it's a reminiscent of what we've seen year after year after year from them. I said, at the end of last season, can they take that one better step and actually do something about it? And in fact, if anything, they've gone backwards. They're certainly not in 2nd, down in P5. Yes, they've still got good chance of finishing P2. We've still got quite a bit to go, but it's certainly not what they would have wanted. And I tell you what, I think for me at least anyway, RSC are still the surprise package this season.
Yeah, RSC have certainly been the team that, I've considered to be, one of the upfronters to be considered here in this particular event alongside AMR, but I wouldn't have expected AMR to be the leading Spanish outfit between them and ET8 because as it stands so far, ET8 are going to be finishing not quite as low as, but certainly the lowest position since Season 3, where they finished 9th place overall. But if I give you some of these names now, have a listen to the names that were part of ET8 at that particular season, right? Matteo, Sergio, still with the team now. Then you've got Gustav, Hazara, Agonized, Dirk was part of the team then, and Lifebout. So they were drivers that were part of ET8 at that point. They've then moved on to do their own individual things. Dirk, of course, still with SCI, I think, wasn't he, in the end? But then you've got Matteo and Sergio, who are still with the squad, and that to me suggests ET8 have not invested enough time in growing the squad in such a way that they've got coverage across multiple grounds, and as a result, you've become extremely reliant upon drivers that are now aged. And I keep saying this, aged drivers, as much as they might have all the experience, can't dedicate themselves to this game. They can't dedicate themselves to practicing because they've got a job to do. They've got to look out for their real life co-compatriots, at home. And if they're working, they're not practicing.
As I was just casually waving at the screen there, thinking that is just me all over, aged, experienced, but not unfortunately to the same level as to what these guys are. But yeah, like you said, and you're bang on right though. That I mean, obviously with the likes of Sergio and Matteo, yes, they're still there, yes, they're still great drivers. But I mean, I've seen flashes from Azim from time to time, but he's just not here regularly enough. For example, as an example, Astala is an up and coming talent, but he's not here enough. Brando's been here and around for a little while, I guess you could say, but kind of he's been with a few teams. It's just, again, his issue I think is consistency. To be fair, again, I'm with Brando, so I can't really I'm not going to disrespect him in the slightest. I think it is just consistency. Then Ryderdal obviously is the final driver that they've got in this lineup, and again, he's a driver good on his day, but again, can he do it every single week? And it is just kind of showing that, unfortunately for ETA, that is not the case. So whether or not that they need to go hunting for drivers from other teams, try and tempt them away, or with the current roster that they have, they need to maybe practice a little more. Is it setup related? Is it like you said, because of real life things getting in the I'm not going to say get in the way of this, but obviously that's more important. But you get where I'm coming from. Either way, they need to do something, and they need to do it fairly quickly.
Yeah, certainly do, because this is the problem. They're lacking the depth that they perhaps once had from that event as well, which has meant that if you take a look at the sprint race results, for instance, last time out at Belgium, of course, remember that we took place in F2 cars for this event, so worth making note. Matt 7 absolutely romped home for FST to give them the first race win of the season, alongside Valakongan and Thomas rounding out the top 3. Epic Vale managed to get some decent results in the end for RSC, but with Semi down in 7th place, they weren't able to get the big points haul that they were looking for. But a double points finish in the sprint race for FST, with Robin finishing in the top 10, meant that, of course, they managed to now leapfrog the Bravo Racing Club to P9 overall in the standings. So that's obviously given them the little boost that they have wanted. Matt 7 showing some serious promise for FST. It's that kind of driver that ET8 would be wanting to look for.
Exactly. Yeah, that's they might not necessarily go for someone who's immediately the top, thinking that there's maybe not a chance you can get them. But yeah, looking for someone who's quite young, is an up and coming talent, and the potential is certainly there. It's in some respects it's a chance that you have to take. Whether it works out or not, time can only tell. You'll have to wait and see. It's just whether you play your cards right with them as to who you choose to go for. But yeah, certainly the likes Matt is certainly someone who can do their job. Maybe he's better at an F2s than he is in an F1. I don't know. Obviously, based off Spa last week, where I did watch it, kind of seemed to be that way a little bit, especially in the sprint race. But either way, they need to, go searching, go digging around a little bit. As we're having a complete brand new lobby, we're not starting this one. But yeah, they certainly would, at least I'd say for themselves, at the very worst, would want to finish P2 this season. Still time, obviously, this is only round 9 out of 14, so we've still got 5 more rounds to go after this, and 1 more sprint at Brazil for that matter. So, yeah, they just need to get their acts together.
Yeah, full confirmation that we have got a new lobby here, so that's the reason why we're taking a minute to get ourselves back in the action. But you were just mentioning there about the calendar. Of course, we're here in Las Vegas for our final of the Forza event before we head over to the right side of the board, because it's our final 5 rounds. We are going to be heading over to Saudi Arabia and Bahrain for our reverse championship races on April 7th. Of course, that's a double header on April 7 as well. Banhard race at the Circuit of the Americas should pose a very strong challenge for our drivers at round 12. Mystery Grand Prix round 13, of course, on April 21, and then we wrap it up at, as Roberts rightfully pointed out, the sprint race and final race of the season at Sao Paulo, at the Brazilian Grand Prix, to wrap that up. So, you know, that's the situation report. Back to the standings, though. You know, it gives us a chance to also reflect on other teams as well. I want to talk about Future Racing Team. They're a team, of course, who automatically qualified for this season of WOR Legacy Division. They are currently P6 overall. Now, they're a team that, of course, you know, as I said, managed to automatically qualify last time out. Very, very last minute, of course, after taking Ventauri's spot last time out. But before then, of course, they finished P8 in Season 5, in Season 4, rather, sorry. You know, the team, I believe, did they even qualify for the event? I don't even think they qualified for Season 4. So then the last time that we saw them was in Season 3, where they finished P11 at the bottom of the standings of those that competed throughout the entire season, actually finishing behind Parnell Racing as well, actually, who only actually competed in 5 events. So the Future Racing Team, they're obviously they're a team that have got a lot of pedigree and a lot of history here, Adam. So, you know, managing to go from the likes of P11 to P6, I think it was overall. You know, in Season 5 they didn't even compete. I think they did. They were P8, sorry, overall, and then they managed to automatically qualify by finishing P3. The trajectory generally for FRT has been upwards in Legacy Division. As it stands so far, they're still in that battle to at least match their standings, but of course they're going to be wanting to aim a bit higher than that.
Again, yeah, I think kind of similar to ETA, they would want to at least finish to where they were last season, at least have some form of consistency. Again, another thing that obviously that you need on here. And I mean, you look at the roster that they had last season compared to this season, and I mean, there is a little bit of change. I mean, obviously they've still got the likes of Quantum, in particular, and David obviously as well, who has raced in both of them. But there are some you know, other faces in there as well that weren't there last season. Obviously the likes of Kevin Zumberg, for example, who has shown glimpses of pace, but can unfortunately get cropped up into a collision, not necessarily of his own doing, but just wrong place, wrong time sort of thing. Yobrev Caterpillar sort of making a bit of a return as well. So it's, yeah, they have at least changed their roster, whether it's been for good or for worse. You know, the one thing they haven't had this season is they have not had that win compared to what they did, you know, because they got at the first round last season. So that'll be something they'll be wanting to at least aim for, if they can, to at least pick up a victory wherever it is, and hopefully not in a sprint format, but in a main feature race. But either way, let's yeah, they'll be wanting to just close that gap as best as they can. They've got to do that, obviously, starting here tonight, but obviously they're not in this first part of tonight. We will be seeing them a little later on.
Yeah, they got the sprint race victory over at Monaco. We remember that was an F2 race, so a very particular standards there. Actually, they've had less race victories than GT10 this season, who are just tucked in behind them on 181. Now, before we saw, of course, Uncle take charge in this event, you know, he displayed the team, Grand Track 10, were not going to be a team that were going to be in the position that they're in at this point. They're knocking on the door of potentially being in the battle for P3 alongside AMR, Ventauri, ET8 and Future Racing Team. So, you know, very much they managed to get the 3 race victories, 4 podiums overall this season from a very, very quick Uncle indeed. Are they a one-trick pony at the moment, or are they starting to at least develop some depth to show that they can be a serious force by getting his, what's the right word for it, getting his talent on board with the team?
Yeah, essentially what he needs is backup, is kind of what we're thinking here. Is he, like you said, is he a one-man band, let's say? Arguably, the results would kind of suggest that that is the case. We have seen glimpses, of other teammates showing a little prospect during the race at particular points and then seem to fall back. So I think for GT10's sake, I mean, obviously, yes, they've got, one of the best drivers, obviously, in Tony, within their roster, and that is, that's great for them. And, they have at least, rather than for being, towards the foot of the table, they've at least got themselves into P7, potentially battling for a mid-place finish, maybe. But again, I think they're another team that needs to go out outside of the field, as it were, and recruit some people, I think, because, so, the drivers they've got, they do perform to their best. There is nothing to say that they don't. They all do. But I'm not too sure that they are to the level, perhaps, that, that is needed for, at least for Legacy Division to, get two drivers consistently scoring big points. But anyway, that's, hopefully maybe they've got some better tracks towards the end of the season. That'll go their way. They can pick up, two good points finishes rather than just the one that they've had. Obviously, they've won 3 races this season. And, no other team has won 3 main feature races, as we'll put it. SCA have won twice, so have RSC. And then obviously you've got VNC won the opener, and then ETA have won one themselves. So yeah, they are the only team to have done that, but they've got nothing to back that up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line of it, is that drivers are going out of their way, obviously, to do the best that they can. But, when at the end of it, you've got, such a tightly compacted event. We're actually just looking at some footage here of the Singapore race. That's the mystery circuit race that took charge. Of course, it was a really, really intense race for a lot of the drivers. But in the end, when you're seeing, a 15-second margin for Tony Reich to end up taking such a dominant victory, it does go, and suggest, doesn't it, that, GT10 have got, the makings to potentially produce something, because, no disrespect to Tony, he's always been a very quick driver, but the pace that he has carried throughout Singapore and, of course, the 2 other race victories that he got at the Netherlands and Italy, suggests that GT10 could pose something pretty substantial if they get the talent. The question is, are they going to be able to get talent when they've only got one driver actually producing the results?
And again, that's what, it's them trying to convince other drivers to come away from other teams, unless there's someone who's completely off radar, that's not within a team at all. I mean, yeah, you'll find them every so often, but they certainly need to go out there, and they need to find a couple of drivers, I'd say, at the very least, to strengthen that roster, who can bring in, decent points hauls, which will just propel them further. Now, at the same time, me kind of saying that kind of says, well, maybe Tony's still got to get these race wins or podium finishes, but yeah, they need to find somebody, whether it's, like I said, from another team or someone new coming in onto the game, perhaps. It has to be done. But the same can be said for a lot of teams, though, not just them. It's the same with the likes of, obviously, with BRC and FST. Obviously, FST, this is their first time here in Legacy Division, and they've not exactly disgraced themselves. They're not bottom. They have shown promise from time to time. And obviously, like you said, they did at least get that sprint race victory last time out. So, again, potential there. But I think maybe sometimes it could be nerves that's got the best of them. Considering not been in this position before.
Yeah, of course. Remember that was a cracking little victory in the sprint race for the F2 cars, which obviously proposed their own individual challenges. Remember, the sprint race victory last time out in F2 was actually won by another team that only managed to get the sprint race victory this season in FRT. So it goes to suggest that, the drivers have got all of the caliber to be able to produce the results, but they've just got to be able to carry that in more than just the one event. Like I said, we talk about, the decent results that have come out of, Fastest Stay True with that race victory. It's matched with some pretty poor performances that ended up appearing throughout the season, for the team that, let's be candid, we weren't expecting anything major from. But it still means that, the bottom line is that they've not been able to churn out decent results, and that's the reason why they're hovering at the back, albeit they're now ahead of the Bravo Racing Club, who themselves haven't really got anything of note. Their highest result, I think, this season was a 4th place victory at the Netherlands. Otherwise, it's been 6th place finishes at Monaco, Austria, and also at Spain. So, Bravo Racing Club are sort of dwindling a little bit here, aren't they?
Yeah, and I mean we've seen glimpses here of good pace from them. Not least in particular would be Polly Massey, who I think is their best driver within that lineup. He is, not just in qualifying but also in race pace. He's shown. I remember watching the Spain race, I believe it was, and his pace was pretty darn good. And I think he could have done better if I was brutally honest. But either way, he certainly kind of has, brought that team forward. And again, another team that needs to look at their roster and think, who else can we get in? I mean, they've got, they do have the likes of Predestinato that's in there as well, a driver who I've known and raced with previously. Good driver, can shown to be very good on his day. But again, it's the consistency that they need, and a lot, they've had a couple of DNFs and then 5 non-point score finishes in the main race and only picking up 1 point in the sprint format, and that goes back to the very first one as well. So, and that's why they find themselves at the bottom of the table. I mean, it is by 1 point, but still another team that needs to look into what's kind of happened this season, kind of similar to the next team I'm going to be mentioning, and that is IRT. I tell you what, I did not expect them to be P8, and I think out of all the teams here, arguably maybe ETA and FRT, are going to be the most disappointed so far, after 8 rounds of racing.
I'm going to be honest with you here, Adam. I think we're doing a really good job at committing to this filler here, because we are actually struggling at the moment now to think about anything else to talk about.
We're just going team by team here. It's kind of like Ted Kravitz's, season-ending sort of grading system. For the teams.
Quite. I think we're doing a decent job on this edition of World Notebook at the moment, because we are trying our hardest to keep the motions rolling in this event, because we are actually waiting for someone to join at the moment, and that person we're waiting for is actually one of the FST men who are currently struggling to get into this lobby now. So we're trying to do our hardest to try and get them in so we can get on with this race event at the Las Vegas circuit. But it gives us an even more ample opportunity to open up the notebook and look at P3 overall, if you don't mind, dear Adam. AMR. Now, AMR are the biggest shocks for me this season, because they are also a team, would you believe, without a race victory to their name. Their highest race result was P2 in the at the Austrian Grand Prix, which was the Force race, actually, managed to get a 2nd, a 4th, a 13th, and a 14th place in that event. So, as a result, they've managed to get up to P3 overall. That noticeable gap for P2 overall is mainly because they've not been able to churn out the podiums, but they are the highest placed team in Spain at the moment. They are beating ETA by, albeit a small margin now, 12 points.
Indeed, and that's because, they've shown great consistency throughout the season. Like you said, they've only picked up 1 podium. But on the other side of the coin, they've only had, they've had 1 sprint race where they haven't scored points, and only 1 main feature race where 1 driver hasn't scored a point. And that shows, and there's not another team that I can see that has done that. They're the only team to have, that's only happened once. I mean, yes, the second driver has generally been sort of like 10th and below, apart from twice, finishing 7th and 9th. But their first driver, finishing within the top 8 every time, and on average, it looks like, being in 5th place. That's consistency for you, and that is what teams need to do, and that shows, a great trajectory for them. That they show, compared to, where they were. Last season, yes, they did finish 5th overall, and they got 2 outstanding victories, and I remember being there for both of them, as well as obviously a sprint race victory as well. And they kind of shocked us a little bit, because we did not expect that from them, and they kind of taken it that 1 step further this season. Yes, they don't have the victory to show it, but what they've got instead is consistency, and that is what you need, and that's what everyone should take note of, because that is how you do it.
Well, situation report. We're now in the lobby. However, you may have just seen Galt has joined the session down at the back of the field. He did not manage to get in time, and we're going to progress with this lobby without him. So FST are down to 3 in this event, which is just very epitomises FST's performances in the fours races this season. That they have one issue, and therefore they can only have one person in the points, and now they've got one person completely out of this race. So 19 people will be taking part in this event here tonight, we think, with the drivers getting themselves ready for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. This, obviously immediately out the blocks, SCI been let off the hook here a little bit. Our championship leaders, 2 drivers towards the back, 2 drivers towards the front. Now an opportunity to clean up their act and have another go at this.
Indeed, yes, and especially for Tech, for his case, is yes, not to get caught up in incident through the first couple of corners with another driver in the midfield. I didn't see what happened to Volakongan as to why he pitted early, unless it was a tactical call, for them to pull each other along, maybe. I don't know. But either way, it certainly is a reset for not just them, but obviously for all the teams. And obviously, because the other one was Nicholas, who was dropping down the field quite quickly as well. For whatever reason, I'm not too sure why that was, but yes, reset for all of them. Like I said, 19 drivers only, 3 for FST, so they've got a slightly bigger handicap on their hands, it's fair to say. So it's down to the 3 remaining drivers to score some good points for them, but time will only tell. But it's a case of, well, what is going to happen here? 17 corners around this tight, twisty track at parts, the long back straight down past the casino hotels, Jota. I'm expecting fireworks.
Yeah, expecting big fireworks indeed, with the drivers getting themselves ready finally for this restarted race. Lobby 1 for our first fours race in Las Vegas. No more waiting. Let's go racing then, here with Silo leading the way from Nilo. Sergio will be hoping that he can get a good start compared to what he did last time, but it looks like here Nilo is actually going to be able to defend from the ET8 man on this occasion. But we do have some changes happening in that midfield as Tech is trying to race side by side with Ray here. Ventari and SCI getting in their own little strong battle here. It looks like Ray giving a nice little token to Tech, actually, but sorry, because he's actually giving the battle with Nicholas here. Nicholas gets the later breaker going into the next corner, but side by side they will go, and the medium tyre runner immediately relegated now down to P9. Matt relegated once again to P6, might even be P7 here as he gets into a battle with Ray as he heads through the next set of corners past the sphere, and it looks like to me that Volakongan is now going to be able to begin a charge against Max von der Geest up in P4. Not the better start for ET8 on this occasion here. Sergio stays into P3 now rather than promoting up to P2, but SCI look like they've got a cleaner run, as it looks like Brando and Simbarox 1 getting in their own battle. It looks like Simbarox, though, struggling with his internet.
Yeah, Simrock's one I've seen a number of times this season, both in Legacy Division and in normal world online races as well. His connection can be a little bit jittery and jumpy, so hopefully for Brandon's sake, who's in just behind him, there is no such issue. He's not the only one, actually. Lucas as well, he's also seems to be jumping ever so slightly, but everything much cleaner this time around. No such issues for the first couple of corners, as that is AMS Carl's sending it down the inside there, or trying to on IRTC, and through that tight twisty section, he got the move done there in the end. That is essentially just for P17. It was still a good move. Big changes though with the choice of tyre compounds though, Jota. Only one driver going for the hards this time, that is Mulder, and some of those who started in the hards have gone for the mediums this time, not at least Matt being a noticeable one at that. And in fact, he's actually lost one more place to what he did last time, but Silo leads the way. But Sergio wants him to get a move done here on Nilo quite quickly, showing that he's got a little bit more pace than that Haas car in front of him.
Apologies for anyone that is just seeing me sort of jitter when you go down the standings. Unfortunately, I've actually broken my finger on my right hand, so as it stands, it's kind of painful to flitter between the drivers here. So apologies for that one if I'm a bit slow to the mark. But Sergio, yeah, he is keeping that pressure on Nilo at the moment. But SCI looking like they're going to be in for a comfortable 1-2. If they carry on as they are. But Max von der Geest looking very racy now with the soft tyre, as they now sort of start to feel the soft tyres come into play here. A couple of laps where I think Max von der Geest and Volakongan certainly going to apply that pressure. Volakongan especially would be very good for SCI, because it could be on to take the entire podium if the race strategy works out well for them. Lap 2 of 18 in this event. Max von der Geest looking like he's just trying to get in the toe of either of the cars in front of him, but still holding on to P4. But the soft tyres should start to come to him now on this particular lap when we start getting into the twisty fiddly sections of the first and second sectors.
Indeed, yeah, that is where these soft tyres in these early stages at least will pay dividends for him, but he's got to get close enough to do that. In the meantime, he does set briefly the fastest lap of the race before Volkongen cements that with a 32.9. So yeah, showing at least still that these soft tyres are the tyre to be on and is the better way to go. But still holding station, and the two SCI boys doing a good job there for the time being, at least, on maintaining that 1-2. Volkongen going to try and get involved in this little score, but everyone seems to have settled down. We do have this well, 19-car DRS train, unfortunately, as it currently stands. Nobody really wanted to go for any form of move, or at least at this stage, apart from, I say that is Max van der Geest trying to make a move on Sergio there, catching him out napping, and Volkongen trying to now go around the outside there. There's no room there for two cars, and that might now open the door for Ray Wint here to go for a move. This might have been VNT tactics here to try and get Ray up a position, but Volkongen has the inside line there through 9, in through 10 now, and he just holds on in the end. Oh, there's your typical case of going from attack to defence in one corner.
Yeah, I think what's happened there is Volkongen was looking very racy against Max van der Geest, and then in the end, Max van der Geest was, you know, trying to defend down that inside line. Volkongen had the run on the outside and might have had a good chance of racing side by side with the Ventari man, but Ray Wint sending that dive down the inside of Volkongen nudged him ever so slightly and meant that Ray Wint could actually get in there and potentially help his teammate out a little bit. So it might not be the cleanest way to do it, but it's actually good team tactics, to be honest with you. Video tyres on for Matt at the moment. It is our sprint race winner last time out in Belgium for Fast to Stay True. He's hoping that he's not going to get into any kind of very strong battles at the moment, as we're already starting to see people off of the soft tyres here. Looks like Nicholas, the Ventari man, is already in the pits to get off of the soft tyres.
Indeed, yeah, quite early actually, for that matter as well, and not too sure what the thought process is behind that. And, well, obviously with his teammate also, Ray, at least in the Williams, being on the soft tyres as well, will probably want to pit this lap, and they're going to try and maybe go for an undercut and work together. Might get the other soft tyre runners thinking here as to what to do and when to pit, but we'll keep an eye on that and see what the other VNT drivers do, because, you know, you got Max van der Geest there in P4, Ray Wint in P6, and Thomas in P8, but he's got a tech now sending it down his inside there. These medium tyres now seem to be getting a little bit more pace. It just wasn't quite enough room there for the Alpine to squeeze it down the inside, but he's now got Ryderdal all over the back of him. Is he going to try and sneak it down the inside? He thought about it. In the end, cuts back in line, but there was so close there, almost a car's width there for him to try and just put that Red Bull down the inside of the Alpine. But I think, yeah, now's the time that these medium runners certainly seem to be a little bit quicker, but good pace there from the McLaren Thomas to try and pull a gap to tech behind him. DRS obviously open for everybody pretty much within this DRS train. No real moves going on, and it's hold station.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye out on a comment actually from Bolero Fox in the chat as well. And I see you, Bell. He's saying here actually a very good point that I've missed. Ventauri have all started on soft tyres, so they've in a fours event. They've got to split the strategies, and that fortunately means that some people are going to be pitting significantly early, as we've seen now another Ventari driver in Thomas, who's now decided to pit out of this out of the soft tyres and now onto the medium. So that now leaves both of the leading Ventari drivers of Ray Wint and Max van der Geest on the soft tyres that they've started on. Not entirely sure on the strategy that they're cooking there, if I'm honest with you, from Ventari, but clearly they are absolutely adamant the soft to medium strategy is the way to go. But if you're pitting too early, you're not really using the best of your soft tyres.
Yeah, certainly not, and yeah, the fact that obviously, you know, Max and Volkongen and Ray, at least, I know, yes, they're two VNT drivers still that have stayed out. At least they are the lead drivers of their train, as it were. As that is Simbarox 1 getting a move done on Matteo for P10 there, or he was holding on at least. So yeah, Simbarox 1 trying to hold off the fast charging ET8 of Matteo. But yeah, maybe Ventari have got their own strategy plan here. Pit two drivers early and then keep the two leading runners at that extra lap or two, so they can have a fresh set of boots and they can try and pull each other along. But he's got to hold off Matt as best as he can on these medium tyres. And tell you what, Matt's getting very close to the rear wing of that Williams. Can he sneak it down the inside here? He's thinking about it. Ray Wint has gone to the middle of the track slightly to defend. Matt in the end backs out of it, decided not to send it down the inside. Thought better of it. Probably a wise idea that as well. But you can see these soft tyre runners are starting to fall off the back a little bit. Max van der Geest stays on, but Volkongen pits. He's closely followed by Ray. So maybe, yeah, lap 6, this is the time now for them to go in.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Ray Winters and Ye will be in, so that tells me Max van der Gies is going to be in at the end of this lap. I was thinking maybe they were committing to this really big undercut from two of the Venturi drivers to potentially mix up that midfield and give Max van der Gies and Ray Winters a good chance at maybe some sort of strong battling here. But curiously, very mixed bag on terms of strategy here. Now, a lot of people think you can go onto a medium tyre and go to the end of this race no issue, but we have plenty of drivers who have decided to elect to use a hard in this part of the event here, so they don't think the medium tyres will go the distance, but other drivers like Venturi, other teams rather like Venturi, don't think that that's the case.
Yeah, even especially as well, considering Nicholas was the first driver to pit, and he has gone onto the medium tyres as well, rather than Volakonga, for example, and Matteo, who have gone onto the hards. So yeah, interesting tyre strategy calls here, not the least obviously from VNT themselves. So are they cooking something? Is it something cooking nicely, or is it something that's boiling far too much and is going to set on fire later in the race? We'll have to wait and see. There's a metaphor for you that doesn't really work, but kind of does at the same time. The leaders, though, there's like, obviously now with those drivers pitting, it has broken up the DRS train. It's given now Tech a chance to get a move done on FST map for 5th place, and that is moved done and dusted. No problem there. And Mulder also getting ahead of Robin, actually. So again, and showing actually these hard tyres now are up to speed after 5 laps, with getting a move done there on the Aston Martin. So yeah. So yeah, can these mediums make it? I'm not entirely comfortable or certain with that. And now you've got the medium tyre runners pitting as well. So they'll be going on to hards, but what does Max van der Gies do?
Yeah, so
it's mediums.
McLaren's going into the pits with a set of medium tyres. Of course, everyone else now that's on the medium tyre won't use a soft. They won't go the distance, so they're forced onto a hard. So the question that's on my lips here is, if you go from a soft to a medium tyre, will that medium tyre go the distance? If it does, then the hard tyre surely is not going to come into play with the amount of laps that are remaining. We'll have to see. Either way, Max van der Gies has come out behind Ray Wintz, so in that situation, actually, the Venturi man making, an easy pickings here with these tyres working a treat here. Sergio on a hard tyre in front here, the ET8 man now. This is where Venturi will be hoping that Ray Wintz, Max van der Gies and Thomas being on the medium tyres will be able to get the jump on Sergio relatively quickly. The problem is experience on the side of the ET8 man, who was hoping that the hard tyres will actually be quite racy and will sort of nurture his way over the next 11 laps to a solid victory.
Yeah, that's what we'd be thinking. But what's interesting, obviously, from this, so Nilo was there net P2 before he made his pit stop. So Nicholas has now jumped up into a net P3 after his very early undercut. And then you've got 3 VNT drivers, like you said, behind Sergio, and they can all just help each other propel themselves along and keep the likes of Volakonga, Matteo, etc. to try and get any moves done by helping each other. So maybe this is some good team play here by VNT at this point. I mean, yeah, still got 11 laps to go here. Anything could happen. Obviously, Max van der Gies there going ahead of his, VNT teammate, and yeah, that's just obviously 1 lap fresher tyres. They want to give the driver the fresher tyre, the extra bit of well, I say boost in this case. It doesn't have an electrical power, but it's an extra, battery, a little bit of extra battery, you could say, with a tyre percentage, and that is Nicholas trying to get a move done here on Nilo, and he gets the move done. Yeah. So, and look how close he is to Silo.
Yeah, and that's what I was keeping a very firm eye on there. In the end, actually, this 4-lap undercut's worked an absolute treat to get as close as he can to Silo. He's actually in a prospective P2 as it stands now as a result of this one. However, Max van der Gies not working a treat here because Sergio is now getting the move done, actually racing with the likes of Nilo, and that scenario is going to help the Venturi men to get as close as he can to potentially making another move. So here he comes around the outside. Then Max van der Gies has sensed it as he gets the move done around the outside, keeps it within track limits as the man now goes up into a respective P4 after everyone makes their pit stops, but he wants to get past Sergio here and try and give a potential double podium on the cards here for Venturi if these medium tyres on Nicholas's car go the distance.
Indeed, maybe Nicholas could be the cork in the bottle later on, but time will only tell on that matter. I mean, these mediums are certainly going to drop off, from probably lap 14 onwards, maybe. We'll have to see on that matter, but still, I mean, yeah, the fact now he's just lost 2 places quite quickly there just shows that. And now Ray Wintz trying to close in. Both of them obviously using that battery with the aid of DRS there. Is Ray going to send it down the inside here? Yeah, he's thinking about it. He half looked there trying to put Nilo off not off balance, but just put him under that bit of pressure. He's got a much better exit though. Out of 14, 15 and 16, he's going to be on the outside for 17, which will make it again the outside towards turn 1. We are still side by side. Here's the Williams ahead. Nyla's going to try and outbrake him in towards turn 1. He's got the inside line then for 2, and he should just about hold on, but no, Raywin sticks his nose in. Bit of contact between the pair of them. Nyla one's a little bit wide, and we're still side by side. These guys are not giving up, not giving an inch, but Raywin's just about comes out on top, and that is crucial.
Yeah, very crucial for Ventari. That's now a Ventari 2-4-5 as it stands, with everyone's pit stops are completed. Is Nyla going to go look for it going into the next corner? He will not on this occasion. So looking very strong at the moment now, Ventari. But again, at this part of the race, it's looking good. Towards the end of this race, though, on those medium tyres, could they start to fall into the depths of those on the hards? Keep an eye on that one as we keep an eye on Silo, who actually is starting to, no, I wouldn't say feel pressure, but certainly will be looking over his shoulder at the moment. And we go on board with Nick, who makes a mistake there as he goes through down towards this back straight. But he is keeping on as even with Silo, which is allowing him to get within the DRS. Of course, staying within the DRS is pretty critical here, because in order to maximise Ventari's efforts, they need to try and keep Sergio in that sandwich, and Max von der Gies needs to get as close as he possibly can and consider overtaking. Sergio, you've seen something.
Yes, Thomas trying to go for an outside move there on Nyla, and unfortunately Nyla didn't actually give him enough space, and in the end ghosting came into play. Thomas made the move, but to be fair, it is not his fault. He wasn't left a car's width there by the Haas, and as a result, not only does Thomas go through, but Matteo also goes through, and his hard tyres on Nyla has dropped 4 places now in these last few laps since making that pit stop, and what was a good first stint for him is kind of going a bit sour now. He's got at least his teammate next behind him, so there's a bit of a buffer. But yeah, Nyla not having a good second stint in these early stages.
A little bit worried about SCI at the moment with their pace of their other drivers. Silo up in a prospective P1 as it stands when Sieb and Mulder make their pit stops as it stands. Nylo down in what will be P8, Valakongan in P9, Tech in P11. So not the big points haul that SCI are looking for here. Their closest compatriots in this battle, of course, are the RSC team. RSC in the Mercedes here tonight as well, and they're going to be wanting to just try and maximise as much as they can. With Simbarox 1 in P12 on a medium to the end of this race, their pace could start to improve. Mulder's on the inverse strategy on a hard tyre that he started on, so keep an eye on where he will come out at the end of this one. We've got more racing happening towards the midfield here. Is Sergio going to look for a move potentially on Nicholas? This could be critical here as the medium tyres start to fall off a little bit here for Nicholas. But Max von der Gies will be told to get his skates on, and that's exactly what he's doing, but he's leaving Ray Wince for dust here. He's actually at risk of falling out of the DRS at the moment of Ventari, and their strategy actually might start to falter as it looks like Sergio is going to go for the move around the outside of turn 1, but he's going to get tyre hooked. That will invite Max von der Giest into the mix in this one as well. There will be strong questions about that one. That is for certain. Again, let's take the rule book out of the equation for a second. Ventari have absolutely nailed that, but it's definitely up for grabs about how they've done it.
Yeah, I think, Nicholas knew exactly what he was doing there. Kind of let off the brakes a little bit just to ensure that he drifted his car out wide to stop Sergio from getting a good exit there and then give him an advantage through 3 and 4. But yeah, and then obviously Max von der Gies just getting that cutback took full advantage, and he is now the nearest driver to Silo, who obviously is the net race leader. See, the last driver still yet to make a pit stop, as that is Matteo dropping down the field. I think Matteo's hit the wall and has lost a lot of speed and a lot of pace, and he's now down into P14 just behind Matt. So Matteo there dropped, I think, 6 places out of all that. Not too sure how, whether it was contact between him and somebody else, but either way, not what he would have wanted. Tech now goes up into P10, so 3 SCI drivers in a row. And keep an eye out on Tech. He's got the freshest hard tyres here, so certainly see what he can do towards the latter stages of this race. But yeah, now Matteo down to P16 now as Ryderdal and AMS Carls go ahead. So Is there damage on this Red Bull? I'm trying to have a look. There doesn't seem to be, unless it's very minor that it's not showing up on the car graphics. But yeah, that's one ET8 driver, along with, well, you could argue say Ryderdal, not having a great race.
Yeah, mentioned about Tech, keeping an eye on him. He is the fastest man on circuit at the moment on those newest hard tyres. Volakongan will be knocking on the door of the strategist at SCI here to say we've got to switch positions, because as it stands so far, I think Volakongan will be saying that actually he's been held back a little bit by Nilo and could actually offer an opportunity to close down on the likes of Thomas and Ray Wintz, who of course are on those older medium tyres, but Nicholas on the oldest hard tyre of them all, currently in P4. We've got caution yellow flag here, and that is for a very slow car out on the field. It looks like Lucas is on the hard tyres, made a mistake going out of turn 3, so that will cost him a bunch of time, and he's now down at the back of the field on 7-lap-old hard tyres with the time penalty and 8.5 seconds back from Robin. Back towards the front, Silo leading the way though, 0.6 of a second separating him from Max von der Gies, who actually, to be fair to him, holding his own at the moment on these medium tyres. Need to go the distance. Ventauri starting to see that the fruit of their labour is coming to some good, but with so much time left on the track here, around about 5 and a bit laps to go in this race here, that Nicholas is certainly going to start to struggle imminently. Ray Wintz and Thomas not falling too far behind.
Indeed, yeah, and they need to keep an eye on somebody else who's on the same stretch as they are and is starting to fall back a bit, and that is Simbarox 1 now. He's on 6-lap-old mediums, the same as Ray Wintz, but he's lost 2 places in 2 laps, virtually down to DRS down the long straight. But again, this kind of shows that these medium tyres are starting to drop off, and the only good thing for VNT's sake is they've got 3 drivers, all in a line close together. So, like I said, they can still propel each other along and help each other, and that's all they can do to try and cement what is currently looking to be, at least at this point of the race, a very good point haul for them. Lucas retires from the race. No real surprise. That was a lunge and a dive bomb I saw there in the background.
Whoa! Whoa!
And,
Brando!
yeah.
Brando's out of the race! He's binned it straight into the wall! He's brought out the safety car! ET8, out of nowhere, has brought out the safety car, and that has mixed this race up entirely on its head. Lap 13 of 18. Brando putting it straight into the wall, looking for that late breaker around the outside, and ET8's race is going from bad to worse, with Sergio the only person in the podium as it stands. Ryderdal and Reteo 12th and 13th respectively. Has that brought their race back into fruition, I wonder?
I'm just gonna clarify, actually. Matt outbroke himself big style and went into the side of Brandon there, putting him into the wall. So that was FST Matt trying to go for a move on Simbarox 1, I believe, just braking way too late, far too late, and unfortunately Brando was the innocent bystander just in front, and he caught the end of it and was put into the wall, and that is his race done and dusted. Unfortunately, we do obviously have the safety car. Do the drivers pit? That is the question. Or do you stay out on track for track position? This is going to be key as to what these drivers are doing. There's a bit of dummying going on in the background. It's like NASCAR-esque there as to what you do. A lot of them are staying out. The Aston Martin of Matt has to come in. He has wing damage, and I suppose those towards the back of the field, they may as well pit. They've got nothing to lose. Go on a set of soft tyres, get them to the end and see what you can make up.
Yeah, critical stuff there. Robin also in as well as Matt. Yeah, correction on that one. I've just looked at the replay on that. Yeah, straight down the inside. Matt goes completely sent. Brando packing, and that is the end of his race. ET8 definitely got something to make note of there. And how the mighty fall from Matt as well. Of course, our sprint race winner last time out in the F2 cars in Belgium is now down in the depths of P16. And actually, with the front wing changes, actually held Robin up as a result of that one. So fastest stay true. Now down at the back of the field with that familiar catchphrase that I won't continue to say because fastest stay true. Clearly not happy with me continuing to say it. Silo though, 14th, lap 14 of 18 now leading the way under the safety car here. A couple of laps we expect around here, but no one electing to really make any changes to their strategy here. Has that welcome Ventauri strategy back into play here?
It certainly will help them, that's for sure. And yeah, they can, especially for Nicholas, obviously in his 10-lap-old medium tyres now. So at least for this lap and the majority of the next lap, he'll be able to, cool those tyres down a bit, not get the tyre wear that he's expecting, and actually it certainly will help them in the last 3 laps of this race for sure. It will certainly stop the likes of Nilo Volakonga and Tech on his much newer, harder tyres to try and maybe cement and make a move, but we'll have to wait and see what it does do. Obviously, bunches the field together. Doesn't really change what it was out in front, because Max van der Geest wasn't really close enough to make a move on Seiler, but like you said, was holding his own. Might, though, give him an opportunity to catch him off guard, perhaps. Maybe on the restart, or, when the DRS is reactivated again. We'll have to wait and see. So yes, Bert Malander stays out for the end of this lap. On to lap 15, 4 laps to go. We're still waiting for Robin to close in on the back of the train. But certainly we're going to have 3 sprint laps to the finish.
Here's one for you as well, and we don't usually, try to keep this as professional as we can, whilst also having a little bit of fun. But we do have to point out one key factor in this one: we should not be having a safety car here. There's been an administrative error, which obviously now has caused a few little hiccups for people like Silo, who have now got Max van der Geest on a medium tyre that isn't actually as aged as perhaps he wants to here. Now, Silo is ever the professional and the fastest man on console for a reason. Here, the situation report for him, though, is that he's got someone behind him potentially with a slightly better tyre delta. So is he now going to be under undue pressure from an administrative error from our lobby host?
It's certainly possible, and like I said, these medium tyres now are going to be in a better condition to what they were than if they were going at full pelt racing speed. So that is definitely something we'll have to keep an eye out on as we get back under green flag racing. So Sal will have a lot in his hands. He'll have a lot to contend with and have to fend off Max van der Geest. Not just him, but obviously Sergio there as well. Obviously, yes, he is on hard tyres, maybe 1 lap older hard tyres arguably, but we know how good Sergio is, and at the moment is the only driver flying the flag for ET8 at the moment, and just showing the at least for Sergio's sake, one driver you can certainly rely on.
Situation report then is we're going to have, I think, a 3-lap dash to the end of this race. Everyone now behind the safety car. Expectation in the next few seconds time is that safety car notice will be given that everyone will be there. It is, safety car is in this lap. We're going to be resuming racing. Silo will become the de facto safety car now for the next few corners. Situation is that SCI are leading the way from Ventauri and from ET8. Ventauri 4, 5, 6, SCI 7, 8, 9. You've got Simbarox 1 in 10th from ET8. Ryderdal and Mateo, who are on older hard tyres, will be hoping they can make the distance here. It looks like Silo is about to get going. Is he going to leave it as late as he possibly can? One would dare that he would do so. There he goes. Has he caught anyone napping? He certainly has not on this occasion here, as it looks like, though, that Sergio's got the better start. Is he going to put any pressure on Max van der Geest? I wonder. Getting into a collision with Ray Wintz, who's actually collided with Nilo and Nicholas here. It's a bit mixed bag here. It looks like that in the end, it's in the side. Nilo, rather, is trying his hardest not to get into any kind of battle, as Tech is going to get the move done. It's 7, 8, 9 resuming here for the SCI guys. We do go green again here. Ignore the caution yellow, sector 1 yellow flags here, with Nicholas and Thomas and Ray Wintz holding station for Ventauri 4, 5 and 6. Sergio, lucky and counted his lucky stars. He's managed to hold on to P3 here, because it looked like it was a little bit of a mixed bag towards the back there.
It certainly is. I'm just keeping an eye on Simbrox 1, whose connection is being a bit iffy once again. But bit of a collision between teammates there, between Nicholas and Ray Wintz.
Ray
perhaps
Wintz is gone.
Tech now. Ray has got. Oh, he's left the session. Oh, and it's taken.
Whoa!
He's taken Tech.
Whoa! Towards the back there, Simbarox 1 and Nicholas getting in a horrible collision there between the Ventauri. What has happened there? They were sent straight down the back of the back corner, where of course there's the runoff area. But that, of course, is now mixed everything up. And Ventauri's race has gone completely awry, as it looks like he's now going to get overtaken by Nilo, and Ray Wintz now down to P6 on these older medium tyres, not falling in favour at all for the Ventauri team. They're still going to be in a big points hole, but they've been thinking, wow, towards the back there. It looks like FST Robin getting into a horrible tank slapper once again through the corner there as well. Ray Wintz is falling down the standings. He's in the pits. That's the end of that race there for Ventauri, now hoping that they can only get a 2 and a 4 as it stands, and hoping that Thomas can defend from very quick hard tie runners of Nilo and Volakongan.
not too sure as to what has happened since this restart, but we've had disconnects, we've had jittery connections, and, well, I mean, unfortunately for Tech, with Ray Wins just lagging out or whatever, he had nowhere to go. And well, Ray Wins has now joined back in. He's going to find that his car has decided to go for a pit stop for no reason whatsoever onto some new medium tyres. Either way, I do wonder, Jota, if perhaps the hierarchy might decide to call the races before the safety car, potentially. Maybe something to think about after what we've seen. I don't know, I'm just maybe thinking out loud here, but still, we're on the penultimate lap here, and Max van der Geest coming under big pressure now from Sergio on these hard tyres. Maybe these mediums, even after a little cool-down period, are not really showing the pace that they were sort of 5 laps ago. Is Sergio going to be close enough to send it late down the inside? Charles Leclerc asked if only that was Perez in front of him, but at the same time, Max van der Geest closing up very quickly to Silo. Not going to go for a move. Sergio does go for a move, though. It is like Charles Leclerc on Sergio Perez, but Max van der Geest fights back. We're wheel banging like crazy, but he gets the move done forcefully. But, you know, fair play to the pair of them.
Yeah, no, Sergio will have not wanted to be battling with Max van der Geest like that one, because he's lost about 0.6 of a second to Silo. We're on the final lap of this race here, folks. So answers on a postcard about when we're going to be taking the race results here, whether it's going to be before the safety car, after the safety car, whether it's going to be at this point at the checker flag. I'll let the hierarchy decide this one. Either way, I'm just going to keep talking, because as it stands here, Sergio is now out of the DRS of Silo here, and that may allow Ventauri back into the fruition here. And I tell you what, if we do end up taking the race results from earlier in the race, Ventauri are going to be smiling ear to ear as we've got Sieb trying his hardest to battle here with Volokongan. I think IRT will be the biggest hard hitters from this one here, because Sieb is flying at the moment on these soft tyres up to P7. He'll hope to get P6 and potentially P5, as well as he's nudging people around the circuit here. And no surprises, the amount of traction that they've got on the soft tyres is massively helping out. Here's Matt, of course, one of the co-compatriots in that safety car incident alongside Brando. Is he going to go for the dive, I wonder, into this corner? He will not on this move here, but he is going to get dangerously close to the back of the SCR guys. As said, we may expect that the hierarchies are going to commit to the race results being before the safety car. Either way, there needs to be some questions about the administrator on this one for keeping it on, because that's bitterly disappointing to say the least. Sieb has got the move done. He's now up into the top 6, but it may not even matter, as we've got this move here for P2 potentially on the cards. Max van der Geest making a mistake, though, going through that corner. That has cost him dearly. We've got other moves happening up and down the field, but we have to go back towards the front. It won't even matter for this man, the fastest man on console. SCI take the win here alongside Sergio for ET8, Ventauri 3, 4, ET8 5, IRT 6, FST 7, with Matt in P7, Volokongan in P8, Nilo in P9, and Matteo rounding out the top 10. You've got Simbarox 1, and then you've got Cali there racing in for 11th and 12th, and the rest of the field down the field as well. Okay, we don't know what the race results are going to be after that one, which is very uncharacteristic of Legacy Division, but it is what it is.
It certainly is what it is, but yeah, certainly for, like we said, the hierarchy sort of what they decide to do. That was a little bit messy, and obviously well, lack of concentration regarding, obviously, for saying that. I didn't even spot it myself for saying that. I didn't even look at the same time as the settings were. Either way, like you said, didn't really affect some of the drivers, at least. Well, I would say some of them, those being the top 3. In this case, Silo taking victory from Sergio, getting that moved on, and Max van der Geest on the penultimate lap. But yeah, VNT, well, what looked to be a decent haul for them, ended up being less so if it stays as it is, with Nicholas in P13. Ray wins P17 after disconnecting, and obviously other drivers getting caught up in that for no fault of their own. You know, Tech, for example, being one of them. I think as well Nilo did as well at the same time. So yeah, it's but I mean, but then you got to look at, you know, Ryder Dahl, who was, you know, languishing, I think, outside the top 10, finishing 5th in the end. He will want to keep the results as they were. So yeah, certainly going to be some discussions.
Yeah, the last full lap that was completed, by the way, folks, was lap 12 in this race. So as a result of that one, you would expect the likes of, if my math works out right and my brain works it out right at the moment, that's Ray Wince will actually still finish in P5. Even with the disconnection, of course, and in that one as well, you've got more situations to consider as well. These, by the way, these standings as a result of the Belgium Grand Prix are not inclusive of this particular race. Definitely not. Matt 7 down in P12. Brando was in P10, so ET8 will at least get Brando back into the top 10 as a result of that one. If Matt finishes in P12 and gets a penalty as a result of that situation, he'll fall down the standings. So that's the situation report anyway as a result of that particular race. I'll tell you what, I think we are going to need a little bit of a break, I think, after that one, because we really don't know what is going on for that one. What we do know is we have our next lobby setting up now imminently, and we should be getting on with our next set of 4 drivers at Las Vegas. Don't go away. We will be in for another cracking event ahead of us in Las Vegas. Welcome back to WOR and the Legacy Division. We are returning now for our next event here in Las Vegas, our second fours event happening between the drivers in the we'll get there in the end, in the even positions, with myself, James Otter, alongside Adam Roberts for what will be no doubt a very interesting event ahead of us, because we are now heading in with just our drivers across the field in the even spots. We've got the 10th place team of Bravo Racing Club only fielding 2 drivers tonight in this 4 as events. That offers a little bit of a nest egg for people in the back of the field here. I'm thinking FST, who've had a bit of a bad race, IRT especially as well. So, you know, opportunity knocks though for the likes of RSC. I'm thinking also potentially as well, if I think about it as well, FRT as well, actually, to a certain extent, because ET8 didn't have a particularly good race either. So opportunity now for potentially some of those midfield teams to capitalise off what has been a bit of a topsy-turvy race in Lobby 1.
Yeah, let's hope Lobby 2 goes a little bit more smoothly than what Lobby 1 did. And yes, we don't have to have a restart and then have a safety car shenanigans. But so, excuse me, I have my fingers crossed for that. As obviously, yeah, going to be slightly smaller field again for this second lobby, with BRC only running 2 of their 4 allocated or slotted drivers, as it were. That's obviously just another handicap on their sake, and not for everybody else, and hopefully for some to try and take advantage. And obviously in this lobby, with the likes of AMR being in here, and obviously as well as FRT, they want to try and take advantage, of some of the other teams not doing as well as they would have hoped, and with a light through Lobby 1, none the least. The likes of ET8, not really. I mean, yeah, Sergio got a podium, but there was nobody else anywhere sort of near there, depending on what's going to happen with the results. So there certainly is opportunity for other teams to take advantage.
Yep, situation report for you just before we get on with the lobby is that we have, of course, the main events ahead of us after Las Vegas next week. We've got our reverse championship races at Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. We've got our last Banhard race at the Circuit to the Americas. That should be a very interesting challenge, that one. Final mystery circuit on April 21. April 28 will be our final race of the season, a sprint race at the Sao Paulo circuit in Brazil. So lobby is about to get going here. Of course, we're going to be straight in with our one-shot qualifying before we get into the main race. Another 18 laps, of course, a mixture of all the teams here. Now, of course, SCI not in the mix. We are in for what I think will be a very mixed bag in this lobby here, because we've got a mixture of talent across the field, but the majority of the teams that are in that strong battle for P2 are in this lobby now, and that should make for a very, very close qualifying and race, I think.
I said I would like to and hope agree with you on that, Jota, that I think, yes, certainly there's a lot of those teams that are in that mid-pack and also in P2 themselves as well, that could, try and cement or improve on their positions. But again, it's going to come down to their drivers and what they can do in a one-shot qualifying. I mean, it's bad enough to do a short qualifying where you've got 3 or 4 attempts, but, we've only having one shot at this, and one little mistake can easily cost you, from starting, up near the front and maybe somewhere near the back. It certainly is. You've got, all to play for. You've got to keep those nerves down and make sure you get every braking zone right, every turning right, and every exit and traction correctly to get that, obviously as easy as it sounds, best possible lap time. But we know that's no easy feat, as we have 30 seconds now before we get going. I have a thought as to who will take pole on this one. We'll wait and see if that comes true or not. But I think this second lobby is going to be more exciting than the first one. It's
David, isn't it? I think that's what my flavour is going to be on anyway, either way. Watch our qualifying now beginning. What are you thinking?
Not.
What are you thinking for pole?
Otsazito.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, not a bad effort, to be fair, from Otsazito. He now leads his, going to be the way here. But Gav Roche currently leading from the front as Adrian showing his, flexing his muscles here for FRT, showing pretty good strength now, but down to P4 with Otsazito. There's your man, now down to P4. Raphael there for RSC, and Gav Roche also for RSC, now up at the front. Adrian getting the late breaker. Might have got a bit too deep there, though, from Gav Roche. He's now lost a bucket of positions. Down to P11 he goes. RSC's Raphael on his own now as a result result of that one here. But Zinedine Hajjaj now getting into the mix. That's Zito. There he is. Up to P3. Now up to P1 is the Williams driver. But Quantum also getting in the mix as well. Keep a very firm eye out on him with Raphael now leading the way for RSC. You've also got the other RSC man of AGK up into P3. But Zito breathing down the next, making a poor corner though. There Zito is now relegated to P3 overall with Raphael. Now make it an RSC 1-2. He's now battling hard at the moment with Zito. Ticho also in the mix as well there. Keep an eye on him with Quantum up in P5. The FRT man in the mix there as well. If you keep an eye on Predestinato as well up in P7. David down in a very lowly P9 at the moment. My favourite for pole. Really struggling in the first and second sectors. What's his third going to be? As we've got more people struggling here. You've got to see someone go off a little bit wide as AGK goes down to the mix. Zito, I think, has invalidated his lap alongside Adrian. That's the reason why he's down in P17. Either way, AMR's Ticho coming across the line and beats the RSC team now straight across the mix with that one. AGK now suddenly down in P2. He thought have had pole at one point, but now relegated to P2. Decent effort, though, from the drivers at the front with AMR's Tiago there alongside Ticho. There, P1, P9, respectively. AGK, Raphael, RSC, very happy, though, with their 2 and 3, respectively.
Vito, yeah, corner cut through turn 15, and his time was good enough for pole. So never mind. My prediction was going well right up until the last few corners. But Adrian also did the same thing as well. He invalidated his lap time, so that is why those two will start at the foot of the field. We spoke about this earlier regarding GT10, Jota. Yes, their 4 drivers set clean lap times, but they are at the foot of the field. And again, this goes on about what we were discussing earlier. But yes, it is Tisha with pole position from AGK and Raphael, and a good qualifying in the end for them and their 2 teammates as well. Yeah, overall, just about at least. And AMR certainly looking like they could take some really good points and maybe put that challenge to RSC.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the one that they're going to want to keep a very firm eye on as well. Hopefully, we're not going to get another lobby restart because this is also, again, on quite a bit longer than we anticipated for this event. Again, there's a quick reminder again of your calendar. Standings-wise, this is before the Lobby 1 situation report. AMR in a decent position with pole position in P3 overall. RSC in P2, though, with P2 and P3 respectively in the grid. Of course, they're allotted around the rest of the field as well. ETA have already raced. Venturi have already raced. Future Racing Team already raced. Grand Track 10 at the foot of the field have got an opportunity to try and close up on the front fielders, especially considering they've had poor races, but with their positions they're going to struggle. IRT have already raced. Fastest Stay True have already raced. BRC, on the other hand, have only got 2 people racing in this Force event here tonight, so they are going to hope that they can at least get into the top 15 because they might have an opportunity to take P9 ride back out of the hands of Fastest Stay True. Doesn't look like people have readied up too soon on this one. Might give us a chance to breathe from that one there. In the end then, RSC looking like they were going to be confident for a front row lockout, but in the end, just snagged at the death by AMR.
Indeed, yes. But yeah, they're going to be throwing hammer and tongs at each other, those 2 teams of RSC and AMR. And I mean, why not? They're, second and third in the championship. It's where, they've shown, like, with AMR's case, consistency through the season, even if it has been just with that 1 podium finish. But, they've been there or thereabouts. And as I said at the start of the stream, that's exactly what you need. Excuse me, and the same kind of says for RSC as well. 2 victories this season, 2 more podiums, and a good heap of other good place finishes. Just sometimes just lacking a little bit with the second driver, with a DNF on just, languishing out the points a couple of times, then a few 14th place finishes. So there is improvement, but again, just shows that, with some good results, that is why they are P2 in the standings. But yeah, keep an eye and see what they are going to do. What can BRC do with just 2 drivers? Well, hopefully, at least with their sake, score a few points. But again, what can GT10 do? All their drivers start together on 2 rows. but they've got to make their way through the field to try and close that gap. But obviously, they do have FRT racing with them as we get onto the grid.
Yeah, the drivers are now getting themselves ready for what will be no doubt a very, very intense second race ahead of us in this fourth event. No more waiting. Let's go racing then here in Las Vegas. Ticho is going to be leading the way for AMR. AGK Racing immediately getting overtaken by Raphael here as RSC tries to defend, actually, P2 and P3. A little bang of wheels, actually, between both of the RSC guys here. We've got a yellow flags already waving here. Someone's gone for a spin by the looks of things towards the back. I think that might have been Nam Sam for GT10. We've also got one of the RBs getting into the mix here, the Racing Bull there of FRT's David. They're going side by side here with White Sheep. Side by side they will go as they try to put some pressure on Predestinato in front here, as Quantum has got a great start from FRT, now up to P3, as it looks like Predestinato trying to get in the mix as well alongside AGK. Little hook of wheels here. It looks like Predestinato's still going to look for it, but in the end not going for the move, as he now tries to defend from the likes of White Sheep and David, who are still battling hammer and tongue at the moment for 6th and 7th place respectively. That may allow Tiago into the mix, but actually in a battle with Zinedine Hijaj, into the wall they will go though between the pair of them. That's horrible racing between them and Zinedine Hijaj. Dom will try to get past all of these people as quickly as he possibly can. Horrible tyre hooking, going through a fast right-hander, and into the wall they go.
I mean, I just caught the end of that after I watched also some very poor driving between some GT10 drivers and a bit of Rev Caterpillar as well. And there's a lot of cars with a lot of wing damage. You're going to find a lot of people going into the pits at the end of this first lap, as they go Zinedine Hijaj again, getting a bit aggressive, a bit feisty with Adrian this time, who, can we just bear in mind, started at the foot of the field. He's up into P8. This is Fernando Alonso-esque.
Yeah, getting a little bit tight here, I think, between these drivers. Not particularly comfortable, as we've got more people getting in the battle. Salto Rev Caterpillar in a mix here. We've got the yellow flags out again for people who have gone for a spin. Rev Caterpillar now down at the foot of the field as GT10 are now propped up by the man representing FRT. Ticho still leading the way from Rafael Quantum in P3 from AGK Racing in P4. Predestinato is in a decent position up in P5 here, actually starting to pull a bit of a gap between him and White Sheep on the soft tyre. David on the medium tyre as well, actually under a bit of pressure from Adrian here. Both of the drivers representing FRT here, so it might be just a quick switch to get the soft tyres running on their own strategy, as AMR Dom is absolutely putting his muscles out there. I don't think they'll be comfortable with that particular overtake, to say the least here, will AMR, as it looks like to me that David is going to lose that position. David has also got wing damage, by the way, folks. He was in a collision going through the little chicane at the end of the main straight. I think it was between them and AGK, which is the reason why David is now falling down the standings at a rapid rate of knots. So White Sheep, the leading driver at the moment on the soft tyre. The leading driver so far still AMR at the moment with Ticho, as it looks like Tiago has just been overtaken by Zinedine Hijaj on the medium tyre. It looks like Gavroche also trying to get in there as well. Side by side they will go, very tightly compacted between now on the hard tyre, as he goes boxed in at the moment as Otzozito. He wants to get in the mix as well. 3 wide they're going at the front and at the back here. It's hard to keep it up on what's happening here, as it looks like the Zinedine Hijaj is going to get the move done on Dom and David, as they've got 2 wide potentially between Otzozito and Gavroche, getting very tightly compacted here between the Williams and the Mercedes runner. But Gavroche should get the exit out of the corner. Maybe a slight collision on the exit of the wall, but Otzozito will concede that position very nicely indeed. David surely not going to go for the move here on these older, with the damaged front wing. He'll hold on to P10 as it stands, but it's looking pretty poor at the moment for the FRT man, as it's actually pretty calm at the front for the front 7 at the moment.
Yeah, just about. What I just did there, Jota, whilst you were going, obviously commentated very, very well as ever. I counted the number of drivers that sustained wing damage within those first 2 laps, and the answer is 8 drivers sustained wing damage. One way or another. Tiago has pitted to replace wing damage, and it is the top 5 that do not have wing damage. Predestinato, though, out of the DRS of the top 4, who are pulling away from the rest of the field. White Sheep on his softs does have wing damage, but it's being dragged along, at least by Predestinato for the time being. Adrian, who, as I said, had a fantastic start, is now up into P7, trying to close in on the 2 in front, as Gavroche there getting very close to Otzozito now for P11. 2 hard tyre runners in amongst all these mediums.
Yeah, Otzozito getting the move done on Gavroche actually on that one there, so he manages to get up to P11 battling here, as David is actually trying his hardest to stay within touching distance of everyone around him, but that front wing damage proving to be a significant problem here for David as well. Good spot, by the way, on the amount of front wing damages that we've now got on the field. And I think that just goes to show again how tightly compacted this race was always going to be. It meant that people like Quantum are going to get into some moves here against RSC, as the FRT man now will go side by side with Raphael at the moment. Raphael trying to defend this one here, but going around into the next corner. Ticho might get a little bit in the way, but a great move from Quantum in the end, as FRT now promoted up to P2. His nearest teammate actually is Adrian up in P7, then it is David, and then Otzozito. So as it stands so far, real mixed bag on strategies for FRT. We've got a couple on the mediums, one on the soft, one on the hard.
Indeed, yeah. Raphael loses the back end, and when I said about traction earlier on, that was certainly not how to do it. And maybe Raphael's struggling here. Maybe it's a case of, does he let AGK Racing go, or do they hold station for now? The answer is they're going to hold station. They are in a good position though, P3 and P4, but would just like to work together maybe to try and get that move back ahead of Quantum, who I must admit looking very, very good. I say that as he outbreaks himself slightly going into the slow left hand at the end of the DRS straight, but still, yeah, Quantum looking good in P2 at the moment. Predestinato still has White Sheep closed in, now goes into the pits at the end of lap 4, closely followed by Adrian. So these two going off those softs will probably go into hards, I would guess, unless they do the VNT strategy and are going to try and get these mediums to do 13, 14 laps. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. Just keeping an eye out on the situation from Luke, actually, just for a moment here. We'll just get a little bit of a lull in the action around here, though everyone around about 0.4 of a second within each other. Situation report. Lobby 1 will have reduced points and have results from lap 12 going on to lap 13. Lobby 2 will have reduced points to match. So these drivers now have got to make some more inroads as quickly as they possibly can, because now the points have been reduced.
Indeed, yeah, that's obviously not of this lobby's doing. That's all down to obviously what happened earlier on with the safety car aspect and the shenanigans that we had. So yeah, probably the right call there from the hierarchy and from Luke. I didn't see any other alternative really, from to be honest. So yeah, so these guys through no fault of their own are going to have to get their skates on and realise that every point certainly matters, but it matters even more now with there being less points on offer. So yes, get points make prizes, and that is what these guys need to do, as Quantum now takes the lead on lap 5 and again cementing the pace that he is showing in that Racing Bull.
Yeah, situation report then is that these drivers are going to now manage the pace as much as they can here with the limited points that are now on offer. It still means that there's still a bucket of points available, of course, in a fours event if you brought 4 drivers with you. VRC, though, haven't, so they're in a bit of a weird situation at the moment, but they're still racing relatively well in comparison to the likes of GT10, who at the moment are just suffering at the moment at the back of the field. More pit stops to be had. One of the soft tyre runners in Dom, a couple of medium tyre, 3 medium runners in fact actually now pitting. We've got Guy Tans in for GT10, AGK for RSC, and then you've got you've got the situation report here for I think it was Guy Tanson AMR Dom as well, wasn't it? Alongside Rev Caterpillar, now in for the hard tyres. So no one on a soft now for the next 12 laps, unless we have any weirdness occurring, as we've got people on the medium tyres at the front. Goes back towards the front, actually, between Quantum, Ticho and Raphael. You've seen something.
Yes, just a bit of wheel banging there from Gavroche, getting the move done down the inside of David there, into the middle part of the middle sector, as it were, the tight twisty section of 8 and 9, and yeah, got the move done, not least with a little bit of wheel banging, but that's Gavroche up into P7 on his hard tyres, and and that is Yellstar going very deep and missing turn 11 completely there, thinking it's not actually a corner, and he was going straight on, but turns around, gets back on track, and is still with his 2 GT10 compatriots at least.
Yeah, finding himself heading towards a casino going that way, which unfortunately doesn't bear fruit for him if he goes down that way to make any kind of inroads. There's a nice pun, actually. I've just noticed the pun on that one. It makes me happy. Nam on that one, though, is now obviously in front of him.
It's the simple things, ladies and gentlemen, that keeps him happy.
The simple things keep me happy. I'm a very simple man. David is still leading the way, by the way, with this front wing damage up in P4 with the medium tyre. Is a bit of a heroic drive now for David, because he is proving that the rear is also not particularly stable either on that Racing Bull. He's got to change that front wing at his pit stop, surely.
Well, you'd think that, but White Sheep, who also has front end penalty damage, did not pit. And I tell you what, he's holding Adrian off here. Adrian cannot get a move done. So it shows at least that for White Sheep, he's got good pace, even with that end plate missing. What they've managed to do is they've managed to close in on the drivers, what was the net top 5 ahead of them. So White Sheep and Adrian now into this possible podium battle. But have to wait and see, as Raphael's actually lost that over a second. His teammate got the jump on him there in the pit stop. So AJK Racing is ahead of his teammate, but still behind T-Show and Quantum. So it's as you were with T-Show and Quantum being P1 and P2 once the pit stops have been made. It's a case of what do the likes of Gavroche and Otsuzito do, starting on those hard tyres, both of them still having a complete full wing as well, when they go on to probably the mediums.
Raphael really struggling out of that corner at the moment at turn 12. He keeps losing the rear at that particular corner, even on these newer hard tyres. So he's actually finding himself now out of the DRS territory of his teammate AGK. So situation for them is actually they're in a little spot of bother, to say the least. Zinedine Hijaj now entering into the pit lane. He's had enough of these medium tyres as he now comes into the pit lane to change over off of those tyres now onto a set of hards, one would suspect. David is also in as well. Surely he's going to get rid of that front wing, because it is absolutely hammering him here as he boxes in, and he's keeping his front wing. Can you believe it?
I can and I can't. I mean, he doesn't want to lose the time in the pits, obviously, to get it changed, or else then he may as well not score points. But at the same time, you got to think he wasn't really doing him any favours. But I guess all he can do is just try and bring it home now and see what he can do and what he can hope for. So that leaves us with 3 drivers still yet to pit. GT10's Flamu still on the mediums in 3rd place. Then you've got Gavroche and Otsuzito, who started on the hards, will go to the mediums probably lap 10, 11, I would say. Maybe, well, probably lap 10, I'd say, and then go to the mediums to the end of the race. Keep an eye on them in the second half and see what they do as they pull each other along. But it is still Quantum who leads the net pit stoppers from T-Show and AJK Racing. Raphael has flirted with that 1 second window to get the DRS on his teammate. He's managed to close that gap and has done so. Finally managed to settle down a little bit. He's got very close to the barrier there. Closely followed by Predestinato, good, doing a decent job here as well. But White Sheep now falling off the back of this train with that wing damage and, well, just 2 lap older tyres. Adrian now gets the DRS, gets the slipstream, goes for a move, the same as T-Show does, gets ahead of Quantum, so 2 moves there done by Adrian and T-Show, but FRT losing and gaining a place.
Yeah, going to start to find themselves, unless anyone, the guys in front don't pit here. It looks like Famau staying out for GT10 on these medium tyres now. 8 lap old for them. You'll find actually that they're going to be in a bit of a dirty air effect is starting to come into fruition for the Haas runner in P3, with the gap now around about 2 seconds. So Ticho now leading the way, but he's going to find himself that actually it's not as clean air as he perhaps hoped for, as the gap now 1.5. The medium tyres falling completely off the cliff, as well as Famau's general pace probably not being anywhere near the likes of Ticho and Quantum. He's going to find himself to be stuck a little bit here is Ticho, and that might offer Quantum an opportunity to catch sort of Ticho off guard here as he now approach the back of the Haas Ferrari.
Indeed, yes, it's a case of can T-Show get the DRS? The answer is, well, he's again flirting with that 1 second. There you go, 9 tenths, 8 tenths. So T-Show will certainly get the DRS and try and maybe Chicks even get that car in between him and Quantum. Quantum, though, all over the back of that Ferrari diffuser. Less than 2 tenths separating them, and these two have been, even though they've got AJK and Raphael behind them, they have been the class of the field so far into this race. Lap 9 out of 18, and here we go now. They're both using their battery to get the DRS and get a move done on this Haas in front of them. Quantum actually trying to go for a move straight away. Also on T-Show, we're going to be 3 wide briefly into the braking zone. They get ahead of the Haas. Quantum gets the pair of them, and that is Quantum up into P3, T-Show P4, and Flamu now down to P5. We'll probably now maybe go into the pit. The answer is no, he stays out for another lap as White Sheep gets back ahead of Adrian, and Dom joins the party.
Yeah, keep an eye on that battle here, as Quantum, of course, not going to have DRS anymore because the gap is around 8 seconds. The likes of Gavroche and Otzozito, of course, who still need to make their pit stops. But here comes AGK trying to get past Flamau as quickly as he possibly can. RSC will be hoping to get a big points haul. That's very, very uneasy here for Flamau here. He's getting in the way of certain people. Now, of course, he has every right to defend it. But he's in a race where he's not actually going to be racing with any of these guys at any point. That's so late on the brakes in comparison to AGK, who's starting to get extremely impatient at the back of Flamau here, and that means he's losing so much time to the likes of Quantum and Ticho here, and it's harming his chances of getting any roads done. Wow, Flamau is defending this one extremely hard here, and I'm not entirely sure as to why. AGK is surely going to be looking to get this one done as quickly as he possibly can, but he's already lost 1.6 seconds to Ticho. He'll lose even more here as it stands. He's not going to look for the move here. He nudges him ever so slightly, but AGK is stuck behind the back of GT10. Flamau here, who's on a medium tyre that he started on with 9 laps on it here. Surely this move is going to be done ASAP, as it looks like Raphael's going to get this one done quickly as he possibly can as well. Here comes the move. That one is done. Raphael also looking for it as well. That's a bit late to say the least, but Flamau now down to P6, but surely he's not defending it. I think he might be, you know, he has every right to do so, but this is not particularly, what was the best way to describe it here? Gentlemanly?
I think that is the word to put it. He's now actually going for the move back on Raphael. Otzozito pits, and Raphael just going to try and hang it around the outside turn one. Brakes later, fresher tyres, better grip, and he gets that move done. But AGK, sorry, third time I tried, still stuck behind this house. And to be fair to Flamau, he's been holding the race in line. It's not a case of he's been, apart from down the pit straight, defending this like crazy. But here comes the kick salvo now. Can he send it down the inside? He can't. Not quite late enough. The brakes, but in the end, just gets the move done. It came a lap too late, and as a result, they've lost over 2 seconds near enough to T-Shot and Quantum, who will be rubbing their hands.
Yeah, so rubbing their hands to say the least. So, situation now is that Predestinato will try to get past Flamau as quickly as he possibly can. I'm again not entirely sure what Flamau was trying to do. He's got significant wing damage. He's on a tyre that's aging horribly at the moment. He's locking up everywhere, locks up the front and the rears going through into turn 12. That allows Predestinato to get close. We've got a mistake from Adrian, and that might offer an opportunity for White Sheep here. Mistake from the FRT man. Now Zinedine Hijaj will be seeing that one as well and thinking he's going to lose time all the way down this back straight here, and he's going to lose one. Is he going to lose two? He will, but is now Zinedine Hijaj also going to get the move done on White Sheep as they head through into turn 13? It's going to be a later breaker from Zinedine Hijaj at a horrible angle to say the least, but it looks like this one's going to be done. Bang of the wheels there, bang of the wheels there as well, but White Sheep has lost the position to Zinedine Hijaj, and I think that's partially because Adrian made that mistake, but he's going to try and defend it down the inside. They're going to bang wheels. That could have been horrible in there, to be honest with you, but in the end they've now managed to hold station. Down the inside they go. They bang wheels again, but Zinedine Hijaj, hold on. That could have been a skyward accident there if that incident ended up occurring the way I thought it was going to.
Indeed, it's so easy. Could have done. Here comes AMR Dom now getting the move done on Flammu, and that's the easiest one of the lot. Actually, yes, Flammu goes late on the brakes, just taps the back of that McLaren ever so slightly, but no harm done. But that is Dom now up into P6 as Gavroche made his pit stop. He's on the mediums now. He's lost 2 seconds to Otzozito, who's now all over the back of this train now that he's caught up to already. Hits the back of Adrian. This is the tyre offset of brand new mediums to 7-lap-old hard tyres. That is why Zinedine Hijaj as well got the move done quite easily on White Sheep and Adrian. But what can Otzozito do with these guys? Can he also get a late charge up the front to challenge for a podium? He's got to get moved on quickly as White Sheep just clatters the curb there and the car complains for traction. What can the Williams do? He's got a lot more battery compared to Adrian, and in the end it's moved on and dusted as White Sheep and Hijaj both go ahead of Flammu, who again is trying to fight back on this one, but yeah, loses out in the end, doesn't really have any opportunity. When is he's obviously staying out for the soft tyres as to whenever that is going to be. Is he pulling over now? The answer is if he was, or he is now, but got held up by Otzozito there, getting the move done on the inside. So Otzozito now to 9th, Adrian 10th as Flammu makes his pit stop. The last driver to go into the pits, but it is a 2-horse race out in front. Keep an eye out on Quantum and T-Show in the last few laps to see who will go out on top between those two. Oh,
We've got
and
a
now
bit-
he retires.
Yeah, we've got a bit of an incident there with Flamose decided to retire from the race here. Not unsure as to why here, but he keeps up here with Gavroche, who now goes down that inside line, attacking Adrian here, who is just losing time hand over fist at the moment. Something is not quite right with that Alpine. Maybe some damage that I haven't seen. Either way, lap 13 of 18, Predestinato all over the back of the RSC pairing of Raphael and AGK. A decent effort, to be fair, from the team up in P3 and P4. Ticho, though, is the one that's going to be fighting with FRT's Quantum at the moment, as AMR looks to try and get a race victory. Close up the gap on RSC if they can help it. Problem is, though, is that their nearest AMR driver is in P6 in Dom.
Indeed, yes, but at least Dom is on a bit of a charge at the moment, but he does now have Zinedine Hajjaj on 2 lap fresh tyres, closing him down. He's got the DRS, he's used all of his battery. Is he going to go for a move? The answer is yes, he does, down the inside, and can get back over onto the racing line before the corner. So that is Zinedine Hajjaj up into P6, Dom now down to P7, as AJK Racing and Predestinato both got a move done there on Raphael. So Raphael going from 3rd to 5th there, and Predestinato now in a kick Sauber sandwich, as he now goes and fakes a dummy to go to the inside of AGK Racing. Can he get the move done? He was a bit tentative on the brakes there. He's going to make it on the outside, though, through the next right-hander. No real chance for Raphael to get a move done, but Predestinato looking feisty here, wanting to try and get a podium.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous, to say the least, here between these drivers, as we've got more battle happening here. Predestinato around the outside. This is going to be an uncharacteristic move. You don't usually go around the outside to get an overtake done here, and that's why, because you can get shut off completely, as AGK managing to manhandle that one. But down the inside he will go once again. Predestinato feeling very racy indeed. He'll go for the switch here. Gets locked off completely, and Raphael could put his car there and actually cause a little bit of an upset, but in the end elected to try and keep it nice and cool and nice and easy. So Predestinato now up to P4 in this one here, as he now chases down the podium back towards the front here. Tisho still holding on to the back of Quantum here. Both of the drivers have elected to just maintain their situation here, because they've not used any of their electrical energy, so they know that it's going to be the battle for P1 between the pair of them. They don't have to worry about anyone behind, so it is all going to be about how close is it going to be for that final spot on the podium. AGK is holding on to P3 as it stands. Predestinato is under a bit of pressure from Raphael, but it looks like they're getting closer and closer and closer to the back of AGK. Are they going to look for it going through to 10? I'd be very surprised if they do so. It's very close indeed, as they lose a little bit of time amongst each other. Oh, very well handled tank slapper from Raphael once again going through there, but that's offering opportunity knocks here for Dom and Zinedine Hijaj, who is now up to 5th and 6th place respectively. They're looking to try and close up the gap even further. They didn't know that there was potentially other people around the case here, Predestinato and AGK, and here comes Zinedine Hijaj, who's going to get the move done on the Aston Martin of Predestinato. Predestinato is defending it. He should have the traction, but Zinedine Hijaj has expertly crafted turn 3 to absolute perfection. He will continue there, and he locks off there. Is Predestinato going to go for it? It's a later break of defending here between the Mercedes and the Aston Martin, but in the end Zinedine Hijaj does hold on to P4. He now chases down P3. Magnificent racing.
It is magnificent, as Gavroche now trying to send it down the inside of Dom here into the tight.
Whoa!
He's just kind of cut him off a little bit there, forced him onto the curb, the car unsettled. Gavroche gets the move done, but without a little bit of controversy is not the word, just a bit too much aggression, but well, we'll wait and see if there's anything taken in for that. But yeah, these, you know, with AGK and Raphael and Predestinato just fighting each other, they weren't realising that the cars behind were closing in, and Raphael clatters the curb there on the exit of 11 and 12, sorry. And Raphael, but I'm looking at a podium finish, now down to P9. He also has wing damage to go with it, and now could lose a position here to Adrian for P9, and indeed he does. So Raphael's race going from bad to worse, and it's now the medium tyre as we need to keep it out. And here comes Otzazito now with a move down the inside of Dom. That's for P7. This third place battle for what was between 3 cars is now for between 6 drivers.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, and that's because of the likes of Predestinato and RSC just battling with each other here, and as a result of that, one has allowed the situation to open up for other drivers around of them. Zinedine Hijaj getting into the mix, trying to close down against AGK. That's a horrible tank slapper who's well held. Raphael has lost it where else but turn 12 again. Has the kick Sauber van, so now he's down to P10 in what is now a race where we'll be wondering, how the hell am I now this low? in this one here, as Predestinato is showing his throwing his elbows out here. Could not have braked any later there, Zinedine Hijaj. He saw the rear lockup and he expertly crafted the defensive effort there, which has allowed Gavroche potentially a little bit of an insider move, as it looks like Predestinato has outbroken himself and he's now down to P6. Ventauri, Gavroche, Zinedine Hijaz, very nice indeed. 4th and 5th respectively in the Mercedes as they tried to chase down AGK.
Indeed, yeah, that was the Mercedes duo working together really well there. Hijaj tried just holding off the middle of the road, meaning that there was the outside lane available to Gavroche there going into turn 5, but he took advantage of that. He did the same lap before as well and completed the move through 6, 7 and 8. So 2 laps in a row, Gavroche does the same thing, and he and Zinedine Hijaj working together here to get a P3 and P4 is probably going to be their target. Predestinato will get closer to getting moved done. The answer is no. What does Zito though do on his medium tyres? He goes to the inside line of the Aston Martin.
Whoa!
Predestinato so late on the brakes around the outside. How he got that car stopped, I do not know. But either way, what it meant was he hangs on to P6 for now. But Zito now will have he's got the battery, he's got the grip, he's got the power. He gets the move done. He's now into P6. Predestinato down to P7, and now comes Dom trying to get a move done. Predestinato again so late on the brakes. I mean, fair play to him. I mean, Daniel Ricciardo-esque to be last at the late breakers. At least for now, he hangs on to P7.
I don't think he was actually intending to go for the overtake, if I'm honest with you, against Gavroche. I think he was just trying to make sure he was covering off a move potentially from Zito. But in the end, he's not just losing against Zito, he loses to Dom as well. So now Predestinato down to P8 as he now puts that hammer down, obviously in pure frustration. There's the man in the Aston Martin who's now down to P8 in this race. And I think, again, he didn't intend to go for the overtake. I think he was just trying to go for the late breaker to defend from it. And you know what? Fair play to him and Gavroche. Clearly, they work with each other very well, that they can trust, that they can go for that late breaker, hand the position back to Gavroche to try and defend from the situation against Zito. It never mattered in the end anyway, but it was crafted very well indeed. Here they are at turn 12. I'm going to skip over to Raphael once again to see, is turn 12 a problem for him on this occasion? I tell you what, he's taking 12 a bit more gingerly now in this one, and that's offering an opportunity for White Sheep to potentially get in the mix here, but he has significant front wing damage by the looks of things as well. Adrian, his race is just starting to come back to him a little bit here, but with so little laps remaining, it might be too little too late. Is he going to get the move done on Predestinato? He will attempt to do so at turn 13, but in the end, it looks like he's just going to have to hold station. DRS will be available for both of the drivers. Is he going to use overtake? He will use overtake, but Predestinato will be relegated from P8 down to P9 as Adrian goes around the outside of the final corner, comes across the start, finishing line. Oh my goodness me, he thought that move was done and dusted, but in the end it wasn't, and the Predestinato will be wondering what the hell was that.
Indeed, I think Adrian just turned in a little bit too soon there, just tried to minimise the angle but not realising the Aston Martin was still there, but no harm, they're both still going, but it does mean they're falling out of the DRS. Predestinato now going for a move with the DRS before turn 5. He gets the move done, so he's back into P8. But what could have been for him and Raphael? We're battling for P3, and it's AJK Racing who is still there. And he's holding the medium tyre runners of Gavroche and Zito off. And it's same with Zinedine Hijaj, as Zito sent it down the inside to get a move done. And Gavroche here through turn 9, trying to catch the Mercedes off guard. In the end, doesn't get the move done. But, I was going to say, out in front, I was just going to see what's going to happen between the top two. But what's just happened is T-Show has now broke himself into turn 12. And that means any chance he had to try to get moved done on Quantum has gone. All Quantum needs to do is find his braking point. And he will win here for FRT.
Yeah, he certainly will. This is the last lap of the race, folks. Checkered flag now waving as people now enter into the third sector. Zinedine Hijaj wants to get this one done on AGK. He's not been in this position at all throughout this race, but here he comes. And the Mercedes man is now up to P3. It's a great effort indeed. Now AGK will do his best to try and hold off if he can. It's looking pretty good for Adrian and Predestinato, but in the end, Quantum will be very happy indeed to take the victory here tonight for FRT. AMR's Ticho finishing in P2. Zinedine Hijaj will do his best to hold on to P3 as much as he can. AGK's done his best, but he will finish in P4 in the end. Gavroche, P5, Zito could not get that position out of him. We've got penalties being applied as Adrian ended up getting a 3-second penalty at the death. Means he now falls to P12 in this race. Predestinato up to 8th from Raphael, White Sheep and David. Tiago in P13 in the end from Nam in P14. Rev Caterpillar has had a race to forget. He finishes in 15th. Gatans in 16th. And Yasalta with another man who wants to forget this race as well finishes at the back of the field. That is the end of WR Legacy 4s, and I'm going to be perfectly candid and say from a commentary perspective, from a viewer perspective, very interesting. From a commentary perspective, thank God it's in the past.
be honest, I don't mind the fours. I think it's a good idea, but I think it's just tonight has had a few hiccups, a few different issues. Either way, at least we didn't have a safety car in this one, but still, away from that, great effort there from Quantum. P5 on the grid takes victory here for FRT and picks up at least some good points for his team, whereas his teammates haven't really, I'm not going to say done themselves justice, but haven't been there to help out at the same time. So at least he's picked them up some good points by winning this race. Obviously, Tisha there, P2, Zinedine Hajj in P3. But what could have been for AJK Racing and Raphael, who were looking so good at the start of this race. And in the end, it's 4th and 9th for them two. Points lost, I think is fair to say.
Points lost, not that many though, of course, because they're on a reduced points haul as a result of what happened in Lobby 1. There are your final results. Take them with a pinch of salt if you must. But the situation report, AGK got the fastest lap of this race, so he'll take at least the extra points on that one. That is the end of the Fours event. Just to mention, I did enjoy the fours. Don't get me wrong. From a perspective of a viewer, it was very interesting to see, and actually, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But from a commentary perspective, there is so much that you've got to try and absorb that I'm so happy that we finally finished it at Las Vegas. We are over to our reverse championship races next week on April 7 for the Saudi Arabia and Bahrain Grand Prix. Of course, that's a double header next week. We've got the United States Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas for our final ban hard event. That one will be very interesting, to say the least. Now the hards are completely banned because, of course, it's such the biggest undercutting circuits on the calendar. We're at a mystery Grand Prix on round 13, so we don't know where we're at for that one, but we do wrap it up at where else but Brazil for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It's a sprint race weekend as well on round number 14 on April 28th. That is the end of this one. It's a mixed bag event. I have no idea what the standings look like, and I'm not even going to bother even attempt to do the maths on this one. So you'll have to figure out what it's all going to be by looking on our X, formerly known as Twitter, at WOR League. Give us a follow if you haven't already. But for myself, from Adam and the rest of the team here, we'll see you next time at Saudi Arabia Bahrain for our reverse championship race on April 7. Take care. Ta-ra.